Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Um, Good to see everybody. Looks like a lot of people out there. Always like to see that. And I teach the jazz improv class at WCC as well as a guitar class, and also teach a couple non-credit classes. Um, a jazz class also, and also we're doing a songwriting class during the summer, which is going to be something sort of new for the non-credit side, because of course at WCC we have both regular credit classes and also non-credit classes for more people in the community that aren't really pursuing a degree or anything at this point. So today, I just want to sort of give an overview of what we do during the jazz class, because in the past, the jazz class was really more like a jazz band. So we'd essentially, have rehearsals for the class and do community events, things like that. But then the last couple of years during the pandemic, the class has been online. So we focus a little more on working on jazz songs, jazz tunes, learning more about jazz. Of course, it's better if you play an instrument and have some basic skills on that instrument to take the class. But really anybody that just wants to learn more about jazz and the different styles of jazz, because we get, of course, going all the way back to the early 1900s, Dixieland style, the swing style of jazz, and then the bebop came along in the 50s, and then the cool jazz, and then more jazz rock, jazz fusion, and more modern jazz, free jazz, and then like a smooth jazz style has been prevalent more recently. So there's lots of different types of jazz and a lot to learn about. And also jazz usually involves improvising, where you're not playing the music directly from the written notes, but you're essentially making it up as you go. And that takes a little bit of a knack to be able to do that, and especially people that have started off with traditional, say, piano lessons, for example, or playing in a school band. They're more just going to be reading the notes. But with jazz, you don't really want to read the notes. You want to just make it up as you go, basically. So it's a little different, and it takes some getting used to. But I have a special guest here in the studio, and today I wanted to play some live music for you. I thought it would be more interesting than just introducing music theory and analyzing songs, which is some of what we do during the class. But I have one of the drummers I work with, Myron Krasicky. Thank you for being here today. He's helping out in the studio, and we're going to demonstrate some different songs, different tunes, different styles that are prevalent in jazz, and also songs and styles that we discuss during the class. And so the first tune that we're going to do for you is a tune entitled Blues March, which was originally recorded by who was the artist on this? Art Blakey. Okay, Art Blakey, and the Jazz Messengers, famous jazz group. From the recording was from late 50s, early 60s, and so we do have a chat, and I'll pretty much be open for questions throughout via the chat, and then we'll spend some time a little later for individual questions. because we always, in all the classes, all my online classes, we always like to have participation and people getting involved with it. So, so first tune we're going to do for you, and we'll be doing music off and on throughout the presentation, and I'll be doing a little talking in between. And then this one, once again, is called the Blues March. So it's a little bit different, where it's sort of like a march type beat, but then more of a 12-bar blues progression. So based on really a 12-bar 1-4-5 style. And we're also going to demonstrate a concept called fours, where I will solo for 4 bars, and then usually the drummer or another instrument solos for 4 bars, and then switch off, exchanging 4-bar solos, but still staying within the framework of the form of the song. And on this one, it's a 12-bar blues form. And okay, so Myron, we'll have to kick it off. clapping out there. And so that was basically a 12-bar jazz blues style tune. And I played the melody, what we call sometimes the head, or the melody of the tune is sometimes referred to as the head of the song. And that's usually very often done 2 times, the part with the is part of the melody. So that's done for a total of 24 bars 2 times. Then we go into the solos, and I essentially took my solo, and then usually with the jazz combo over at WCC we have a full band, but with the small studio here and the pandemic and everything, we scaled things down to a smaller sized group. So I took my solo essentially and the whole sequence of 12 bars is called a chorus. And so I did several choruses, and then I played for 4 bars and then stopped for 4 bars, and Myron did his solo for 4 bars. So we exchanged 4-bar solos for 2 times through, basically 24 bars total, and then came back to the head, the melody 2 times, and then the tag on the end where we repeat that little last 4 bars is repeated. So another thing that we like to do is, okay, there is a question, was the whole piece improvised? I would say no, right?
Just the solos.
Just the solos. And there is a melody to the tune which had the part that part is played pretty much the same, sometimes slight little variations. One thing that we work on a lot in the class is if we take a jazz tune or a popular tune, say something like Summertime, sometimes you can do variations on the melody and change it a little bit so it's not exactly the same each time. But usually the melody is usually pretty much played, but then the solos are improvised. Okay, so that's a good question. And so I'm going to actually switch up and use a different guitar. And one thing we work on in the class is, it's not really a songwriting class per se, but we do work on ideas for working on an original composition. And get out the nylon string guitar. And I have a tune that I wrote that I call it Green Blues, and it is more of sort of a Latin bossa nova style, as opposed to the one we just did was more of a swing style, a jazz swing. But this is more of a Latin bossa nova style, and so we're going to do this one for you, one of my original tunes. And ready?
Mm-hmm.